Alright, this is CIS-125 92315. Alright, the first thing we reviewed some of the concept of creating a problem, input, output process. You have to know how the problem works. Here's an example of a leading decision flowchart. We have a start, and then we talked about inputting. This was a second problem. Input name, wage, hours, and then overtime hours. Got a connector. Going to do a leading decision. The students did this one, actually coded this in class. So we made the decision. As long as the wage is greater than 0, that means we have a value. And then we calculate it, stored to the left, printed out the results, and then we input it another value, go up, and we loop. As long as the wage is greater than 0, we process, get a new piece of information, and go up. Now, once we reach the false part, if there's anything to print out, any results, and then we can end up here down at the stop. So we get a do while age is greater than 0, and do, everything's indented. And then we learn in Python, it's a while, wage, colon, and then it'll execute everything inside here. And in Python, you don't need the while end, you can just continue your other work out here on this same edge. Now, a side note here, what you could do here is you could input the name here, and then inside your loop here, let's go like right in here. Then you could input the other two values. Then you could process, and then here you can get another name, and then your flag here could flag the name, you know, like end with done or exit or whatever, and then have your other inputs inside here before you process. Alright, so we did the code for that, and the students should have that. I think we did in groups, so you should have that code. Then we looked at another example. So we have name, base pay, and sales. Over 1,000 or equal to, they get 10%. Under 1,000, they get 7%. So we're going to print out the name and total pay, and then the students had to think of the process on how to do that. And it's not hard, right? You can say, well, once we input the information, okay, depending on if we're looping or not, you can make a decision. You can actually do an if. You can say if sales greater than whatever value you picked, then you'd have a true part and a false part. And then you do your calculating and come back together. Alright? So what we students did them on the board and on the windows. I took pictures of them all, but the only ones I'm going to show are the two that were on the board. So in this case here, they did some initialization. There's a start up above there. Then they came down and they inputted base pay and sales, name, base pay, and sales. Okay, and then they compared the sales greater than or equal to, and they have here some cutoff that they set up here, which was a good idea. And then if that's true, they process it this way. If that's false, they process it this way. And they figured out the pay. They took the base pay plus the high amount. Here they took it plus the low amount. And up here they had the high, and here they had the low, in which they multiplied to get the commission. Bring it back together, print it out. And there's a couple different ways you could do this in terms of, you know, how you calculate this. You could assign a value to each of these and then do your calculations here too. It'd be another interesting way to do that. Alright, we got one to look at. Now they initialized base pay and sales. I'm not sure exactly what they initialized them to. They're not equal to anything, so I'm not sure. Then we have input. We have an input box with arrows for input name, base pay, and sales. Sales greater than or equal to 1,000. Then over here they should have said true, and over here they should have false. They don't need to repeat those. Then they calculate the commission. Calculate the commission with the other percent. Now you notice the other group, they stored the percentages in a variable, which is a good idea. And then they got 1, you're going to go up. Here's 1. Then they figured out the total pay with the base pay plus commission, printed, and stopped. Alright. And that is it for this session.